Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but I've decided to make a video covering the new Shinobi shown off in the latest testing grounds as of July 1st, I believe it was. So, I know this is a bit late to be making this video, but I think a lot of core stuff from the new Shinobi are going to actually make it into the live game, as well as I want to give some constructive criticism in the middle of my overview of of some things that were done about him. Some of it positive, some of it negative. It's just my personal view on it. So without further ado, let's just cover what we have so far. Uh, so Shinobi was obviously the biggest change in the testing grounds, and he was uh, granted, everyone noticed that, and everyone assumed he was broken, which to some degree he is. Again, cover that later. So a little history. Many older Shinobi mains may remember this, but some newer ones don't. Shinobi's original concept: pure offense, no defense. As the game kind of grew, Shinobi didn't exactly grow with it, so he kept getting nerfs in order to fit the dynamic. As the game was standardized, Shinobi was obsolete due to dodge recoveries, healing feats, GB vulnerabilities, and even damage. And many of you know that because people kept complaining about Shinobi being nerfed for the 12th time because that was a thing. um, so now in testing grounds, Shinobi seems to abide by most of these changes while retaining the original concept: pure offense but low HP. Every form of offense he can be there in a massive presence. But two or three wrong moves, Shinobi's dead. End of story. And Raider is a very good example of that in his testing grounds as well. Um, if you need a ganker, Shinobi's got you. Peeler, he's got you covered as well. Duelist, absolutely. But that's not to say his defense is terrible either, but it mostly revolves around counterattacking. If one or two people are too offensive towards one Shinobi, they can have their hands full, but if they play it smart, Shinobi won't last more than 20 seconds. So without further ado, let's get into how to play the Shinobi rework. Instead of trying to explain what changed about Shinobi, it's probably necessary to start over from the very beginning, because that's actually what was changed. So as normal, he's an assassin. So he has the lowest renown gain out of any other type of character in the game, right beside hybrids, which unfortunately Shaolin hides behind for some reason. Um, So this means that in order to gain his feats, Shinobi will have to put in far more work or get lucky than the other types of characters on his team. His main renown comes from winning equal or outnumbered fights, aka honorable fights, Ubisoft's wordy, not mine, or contesting zones. And contesting zones is simply when you stand on a point that is trying to be overtaken or boosted by the enemy team. Self, pretty simple concept. You always want to be annoying in any way possible. So pretty much what everyone thinks about Shinobi, except that's how you're actually supposed to play. So, let's start off with the running attack. That was changed as well. So after having so much sprint startup, Shinobi can press guard break and he will do a cartwheel flip. Upon doing that, you can lock on and quickly press heavy, and that will do a special heavy animation that only occurs one other time in his moveset. It does have a pretty good. It does have a pretty large startup in terms of how much momentum you need. If you ever do need a lot of momentum, you can always just press your sprint button again, and you can initiate double dash, or no, not double dash, super sprint. That's the term. It will start consuming stamina, but you will get a 30 to 40% movement speed buff, and you can deactivate it again by pressing sprint again. Do note this is identical to Shigoki and how he works with his charge of the Oni, even though Shinobi came first, but I'm just going to say that anyway. So, now let's move on to his basic chains. He has two main chains, no pun intended. Light light or heavy light. So, So if Shinobi lands one of the first attacks, the light attack after is guaranteed, and yeah. But if you switch guard, the attack isn't guaranteed, or if the attack is blocked or missed, it's not guaranteed as well. So that's how that works. However, after any point after the first part of this chain, you can choose to do a heavy input, which will initiate a move called Sickle Rain. So this means light, this means heavy light, this means light light, any point, or just flat out heavy. So you can do heavy and that. The Sickle Rain is a pinning move where Shinobi forces their opponent to their knees, and he will pelt them with bleed lights. If it's performed from top, it'll be unblockable. If it's performed from side, it'll be undodgeable, as shown by the blue hue to it. To do the bleed lights, you just have to input light 3 times. It doesn't matter about the speed at which you input it or specific timing. That's been removed since his rework. And once you do that, you don't have to do all 3 lights. As you saw, it did use quite a bit of stamina. So what you can do is you can choose to do only 2 or do only 1, and then leave the mix-up by just doing nothing. Shinobi will back out of it, and you'll be fine. You can also choose to do a backflip after it, but the details of what happens in backflip comes later. Upon landing a guard break, this is also Shinobi's punish. So just press a heavy after guard break. It doesn't matter which side again, and then you can do the Sickle Rain. So that's Shinobi's basic chains. And again, there's only 2. It's just Sickle Rain can be done at any point now, which is actually kind of funny. So once Shinobi successfully lands a hit, whether that be the basic chain or the Sickle Rain, he can recovery cancel by doing a backflip. So, which is the same input as dodge. So let's just show you that real quick. So I just do this, or I do this, and then I can do that. And that will give me, that will put distance between me and Deflector 2 guy over here, but I can also do it from the run forward attack. So if I do this, I can do Sickle Rain, and then backflip. So that's how that works. And this is a very iffy, because this is testing grounds, so this is subject to change. There is a thing right now where unless Shinobi does Sickle Rain, your opponents can always light you at the end of your backflip animation. This is done by them ever so slightly delaying their attacks just after they see the backflip. So Deflector guy will demonstrate that now. Just throw a light, preferably side light, at me just as you see me start doing the backflip. Yeah, you have to immediately go into block it. The alternative to doing this is to force them into Sickle Rain. So, if I force him into Sickle Rain, not only did it interrupt his light, but because I didn't do a backflip, it punished him for making a read like that. But but if you do a Sickle Rain and then backflip, and he goes to light me out of that, there is one thing you can do, and I'll demonstrate that here. See, I had a much shorter recovery time that time, where he had much longer recovery time. That gave me enough time to do something in return. So, so we're just gonna give him a fresh health bar here so we can demonstrate this. Whenever you do the backflip, you can do a ranged heavy, and ranged heavy is done, or ranged attack rather, but it's a ranged heavy. After doing a backflip, you can input the heavy, and it will do a bash that is completely reactable, but will punish anyone trying to chase after you that isn't using a dodge attack. So we're going to demonstrate that here. and I was able to do ranged heavy, and after landing the ranged heavy, you can lead into your roll forward mix-up. That is not to say you need to land the ranged heavy in order to do the roll forward. If you don't do the ranged heavy, you can roll forward anyway, but that leaves you extremely vulnerable to anyone that just lights you out of anything. So we're just going to do this. Yeah. Oh, I messed that up, but yeah. I'm not going to do the ranged heavy this time. The thing is, once Shinobi starts the backflip and then roll forward, there's like a major, if he doesn't do the ranged heavy because someone doesn't chase him, there's a major gap at which he's completely vulnerable to literally anything. So it's very powerful as out of stamina punish. See, I can't do anything there. There's nothing I can do fast enough to stop him from doing that if I just do backflip and then roll forward. And that becomes an issue, because that means the only way to avoid that is ranged heavy, which can be dodged, or can be very easily read that's not going to be thrown. So later on, hopefully, they will make it so that you can not have to worry about that as much. Possibly as adding hyper armor or iframes to Shinobi's front roll and backflip animations. One or the other seems pretty fine. So, a thing to note, however, is if the ranged attack misses on Shinobi after he does the backflip, he's completely reset to neutral. So, Deflector guy will demonstrate that by dodging the ranged heavy this time. And see, he doesn't have enough distance to guard break me, but he does have enough distance to do a dodge attack. So, nope, he buffered it a bit. Let's do that. See? And it's because of that if you also did that as I was doing a roll forward without throwing the ranged heavy, you can essentially option select Shinobi continuing his mix-up at all by throwing a dodge attack, which is completely dumb. Again, hopefully they address that by adding hyper armor or loss of tracking to the roll forward, though I think hyper armor may be the better solution because there are undodgeable attacks that are dodge attacks. As PTSD inducing as it is to introduce hyper armor back to Shinobi, I think that's probably the better option. It is also worth noting that if thinking, or Deflector guy gets over here, that due to a small bug, or what's believed to be a bug, ranged heavy wall splats, which upon doing the roll forward that you can do after landing the ranged heavy, turns it from being a mix-up to more of just a really lengthy punish. Again, it's quite possibly a bug, so expect that to be changed later. Speaking of which, also off a wall splat, assuming you didn't do it with a ranged heavy, it's just heavy light. Though, I do wonder on roll forward. No, that can't land. That's too late. And also not enough tracking. Though I imagine there are some weird situations where that can land. Just more reliably do the heavy light. Okay. Now that we've reset Deflector guys' health bar, we're going to cover roll forward. So as I mentioned, after landing the ranged heavy, or choosing not to do it, you can input another dodge, and you will begin a roll forward mix-up, again, unless it well splats due to the bug. Different story. Which is extremely appealing. So you can do a front flip kick, which would punish anyone standing still, trying to wait you out. And when that does land, you can get the special animation you do whenever you do the running bash. And people that predict that you're going to do the front flip kick, they have to dodge it because it's an unreactable bash. Again, assuming they don't light you out of the front roll. So Deflector guy is gonna dodge here, and the roll forward also can lead into Sickle Rain, which, as you saw, when done from the side, is undodgeable. That's extremely good. It's great. It's to some degree that's always been in the game, but Ubisoft decided to do exactly what they did with Warlord, which was it has such good tracking. Let's just make it undodgeable now, which I find absolutely hilarious. That thought process. But if you feel like they're perfectly ganking you or perfectly fighting you in any way, uh, if push comes to shove, you also have the unblockable Sickle Rain, which can lead into which you can fate to guard break or let fly, one or the other. Now that's not to say that. Now a little clarification. That's not to say that front roll is completely defenseless, and neither is backflip. As when you do buffer attacks, again, at Frost You Guy was mostly doing it on reaction. When you do buffer attacks, you do have loss of tracking, which has very similar properties to an actual dodge. So to Frost You Guy is going to try and light me out of my roll forward on prediction. So, and try doing a top one. That one has better. Sometimes it works. I think you're doing it a little early, to be honest. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've noticed that on characters with terrible tracking lights, such as a Raider, it is more reliable in that matter of missing. It's very inconsistent to reproduce. You might want to try heavy. The loss of tracking is there. Believe me, it's there. It's just very hard to reproduce because it's a very inconsistent mechanic. No, we're not doing the cheese dance. Because I hit you out of that, remember? So that's how the roll forward mix-up works. Again, the kickflip is unreactable, so the Sickle Rain will punish anyone. There is a weird thing where you can, instead of throwing a light on roll forward, which negates everything, you can also dodge on roll forward. And I say you dodge on roll forward, you don't dodge at the end of roll forward. When you do dodge on roll forward, the kick will completely miss, and the Sickle Rain will be the only option Shinobi has, which can be blocked or parried. The unblockable Sickle Rain sometimes doesn't track and sometimes does track in this situation. I'm gonna show that off here. So to Frost You Guy will do a dodge as soon as he sees me do the front roll animation at the point where he thinks the kick won't track. Okay. And see, there's nothing I can do there. And he has enough time to block. It's a great option select. Shinobi can do nothing for it. And you can also, the unblockable heavy sometimes tracks, sometimes doesn't. It's inconsistent. By the way, it's a option select for what's happening that shouldn't be there. It does not happen if you throw the ranged heavy. But if that's assuming that they know you're going to throw it. Also, the ranged heavy is a reactable bash, so keeping them from doing this is very difficult for Shinobi, unless, again, they're in a panic situation, they're out of stamina, or you're target switching, which you can do mid-combos. So, those are some little things that I do hope get worked out in the testing grounds, hopefully in the next one. But a lot of this is also assuming that you land an attack first, and that may not sound appealing because you have to do a light, or you have to do a heavy, or you have to land the Sickle Rain. That may not sound appealing. There are 4 other ways to enter directly into the roll forward mix-up, thankfully. So, the first one is dodge kick, second one is double dodge kick, the third one is parry, and the fourth one is deflect. So, starting off, upon dodging in any direction and pressing guard break, Shinobi can do a kick, and this includes forward as well. The forward one is unreactable, the side ones are reactable. However, it is worth noting that the single dodge one is fairly newer than the double dodge one, so there's delayability you have on your single dodge one, but there isn't one that you have on your double dodge one. See, that's me. I have to buffer it for double dodge, which is peculiar. And yeah, but in that sense, since you can't delay the second one, the first one might just be your only option because you can do a mix-up where you fake people out with a forward dodge, and then you do the guard break, you do the funny Sickle Rain, and then you learn to mix up from there. So the double dodge at this point seems very obsolete and is mostly used for counterattacking, which is honestly fine, but not being able to delay it seems like a small oversight, so hopefully that gets changed later as well. Uh, Next up we have double dodge, which is literally done by double dodging in any direction except for back. You cannot back dodge double dodge, except for when you do a different dodge first. So if you do a side, you can then do a back. If you do a forward, you can then do a back. If you do... Actually, that's pretty much it. Side dodge, forward, forward dodge forward, side dodge back. That combination works. As long as back dodge is the second dodge, you can do that. And then you just do a kick. Again, which is done by guard break input. It can't be delayed, but that's regardless. Upon landing either the single dodge one or the double dodge one, you can press the heavy input, which will initiate a free ranged attack that is confirmed, and that can lean into the rest of your mix-up, which, because you landed the ranged attack, has the bonuses of your opponent not being able to dodge early, and also not being able to light out of your mix-up as much. However, as I did mention, there is a wall splat bug, so if Deflector guy could come over here, you can do this, and then they'll wall splat, and then a Sickle Rain is confirmed. Again, it's potentially a bug. Hopefully that gets changed. So we're gonna see that hopefully go, because that's just season 2 Centurion all over again.
Round 9.
Yeah, you remember that, don't you, Deflector guy? That was a fun moment. Indeed. So next up, we're going to show the other two ways, which is the counterattack ways of getting into his front roll mix-up, which are very interesting, because they themselves are mix-ups. So first off, we're going to lead off with the parry. Upon doing a parry, be it heavy or light attack. Granted, if they get a light attack, they can light attack parry. They can do a heavy light, which does literally one less damage than doing the mix-up, or they can choose to play it safe and get that one less damage, which is fine. But onto the mix-up. Upon doing a top heavy or top light, I screw up because I'm bad. I keep expecting a light. I don't know why. You can input a light, which will bleed them. Shush, we're wanting to see the damage numbers. Which will do total of 12 stacks of bleed plus 6 damage, which will equivalent to 18 damage. Pretty powerful heavy parry punish, and that's confirmed on both punishes. And upon doing that, you can initiate one of two things: Sickle Rain or Kick. Both of which are not confirmed, but they are quick. Now you can do it. See? And now you're going to try and block the, or not. But yeah, that's what happens if you try and dodge the kick, because the kick is unreactable. The kick is unreactable, but again, you'll just lead into Sickle Rain, and yeah, he's almost dead, so we're going to reset something. Either way, if you do the kick, that confirms the ranged heavy, which does the exact same damage, I think. And if they dodge on prediction, they can get hit by the undodgeable Sickle Rain. Both are very powerful. Though it's worthy to note that this is the best possible situation because we are fighting an assassin. If someone has a static guard, there's a very good possibility that your undodgeable can get caught by their guard. Very, very interesting situation, but it's one that every character has to go by, which is such as Black Prior, Griffin, and now Shinobi. They all rely on similar mix-ups, and so now they all have the similar weakness, which is static guard heroes just being able to block willy-nilly. that's beyond the point. Now, to Frosty Guy, we'll let the kick land instead of dodging. And I screwed up. That's because I'm bad. Inputs are going to need to be worked on. As soon as you do that, parry punish, you can do a roll forward. You can do a roll forward and then lead straight into the kick or Sickle Rain mix-up again, and so on and so forth. So you're starting to get the idea. Shinobi is just a mix-up that just keeps coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and constantly putting pressure on you. And the Deflector works similarly. Don't do it just yet. The deflect has to be manually done. So the deflect is done by pressing guard break as soon as you do it. And so you can do top one. And that will teleport you behind your opponent and do a very small amount of bleed damage. I think it's 4 ticks. Hey, what do you know? I'm right. It will do 4 ticks of bleed that each do 1 damage. It's a pretty low amount. That's not important. It confirms 4 damage will be. The point is, this leads into your mix-up again. Upon pressing guard break again, yes, you heard me, you have to press guard break twice after deflecting, you can get a ranged heavy, though it is worthy of note that this, again, it's dodgeable, but it is unreactable. Go on. Okay, now let it land. And that leads into the roll forward, and so on and so forth. Now, what happens if someone tries to predict? Well, you can probably guess. Go ahead. Sickle Rain! Over and over again. The animation looks a little bit weird, but it's again, it goes straight into another punish. It's a punish that can go into a punish, that can go into a punish, that can go into a punish. And with that, that's pretty much all there is to know about the new Shinobi. There are small things such as per character basis, again, especially considering that the tracking, quote unquote, of the backflip and forward roll. But that I leave up to you to learn. And there's also feats. We're not going to cover feats. Feats are supposed to be reworked sometime this year, or at least they were, but no word from Ubisoft on that yet. So we're just gonna wait that one out. And without further ado, I bid you all goodbye and have fun with the new Testing Ground Shinobi changes, or which ones do go through. Hope you all enjoyed. Bye bye.